TBC, what's the deal? So Luis Ortiz will be taking on Alexander Dimitrenko. Was this March 5th? I mean, it's a good stay busy fight, and some of you fans of smaller weight classes, this is a stay busy fight against somebody that's 3, 4 inches taller and about 15 to 20 pounds heavier. So, and the guy is, Dimitrenko, good amateur background. He does everything real basic. He has good fundamentals, good skills, good decent footwork. Keeps a nice, responsible guard on defense. He can fight off his back foot a little bit when he's in there with guys that he can use that style against. Like the Ross Purity fight, he was able to do that, and the Skelton fight, he was able to do that. Divock Perkovic, another fight, he was able to implement that style. But when you step right to him the way KUBRAT PULEV did in their fight, well, in the probably middle of their fight and then going into late in their fight, when he started to step to him and land the jab, right hand, left hook combination, a three-piece on him, then he was able to take control of that fight even more than just out jabbing Dimitrenko the way he was, because he was out jabbing Dimitrenko on his back foot and when he stood in front of him. But when you step to him and really get aggressive with him, I think that's when that's when PULEV had a lot of success in that fight. The Eddie Chambers fight is not on YouTube. Well, at least the video is posted, but when you go to click on it to play it, it says the video is blocked. So I wasn't able to view that fight because I wanted to see, I was curious to see how was Eddie Chambers able to beat him. Now, knowing Chambers, he likes to counter punch and use his hand speed. He'll throw up the high guard and he's tough as hell. So I can understand Chambers winning it, but I wanted to just view it because Dimitrenko has, 83-inch reach, and he's 260 pounds, 6'7". Chambers is a rather small heavyweight at about, was he 6 feet, 6'1", 220. I believe Chambers came in his career high in his last fight. He came in at 230, but when he's in his prime shape, he's like 219. So just curious to see how that fight went about, man. But Dimitrenko is a guy, he does have wins over guys like Derek Rossi and Danny Batchelder. Batchelder was set to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. a few weeks ago, but that fight was canceled. He does have win over Malcolm Tan. Good wins over guys he's supposed to beat. He was favored in those fights to win those fights, so he was supposed to beat those guys. But when he steps up and he fights in the eliminator type of bouts, he loses those fights. PULEV and Chambers. I would really like to see him in there with some of the prospects, some of the hot upcoming prospects like the Oscar Rivas and Joseph Parker and Jarrell Miller. I like to see him in those fights, but I just think Ortiz is on a higher level. I have Ortiz number 6 in my top 10. I have him rated behind Ruslan Chagaev, Povetkin, Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. But I do have Ortiz in my top 6. I know a lot of fans right now, they're, a lot of guys are fans of Luis Ortiz, because he's a southpaw, brings power, different dynamic. He can fight off, he's slick, he can move his head, and he has just lights out power, so a lot of people are, fans of this guy right now, and I totally understand that, but I don't want to be a prisoner at the moment. I don't think he's going to knock everybody out. He may have to work for this knockout. I think this is a good tune-up fight going into the Alexander Usanov fight. I know he has to fight Usanov, was this on or before June 19th. Usanov is similar in build, although I think Usanov is about 30 pounds heavier than Dimitrenko. He's a lot more solid. He's huge. Usanov's about 6'8". He's huge, man. He's like an inch taller, probably about 20 pounds heavier, but Dimitrenko's a lot lighter on his feet. He can fight off his back foot pretty decent, but again, when he can do it, when he's able to use that against certain guys, I don't think he'll be able to fight off his back foot, and I think him being passive in this fight will probably get him knocked out a little quicker. Things will have to be not super aggressive, but get Ortiz respect. You can't go in there and just, I think you're going to have to sit down on some punches and get his respect. Because if you start to let him, walk you down, I just think he'll pick you apart that way. Unless you're a master counterpuncher, and that's not what Dimitrenko does. I don't necessarily think he has to come in there and go wild in the first round, but he's going to have to double and triple up that jab. If he tries to just, single jab it, he's going to get countered over the top of that jab, and he may get knocked out early. But he's going to have to keep his defense tight, and I would like to see him work inside, but I really, with the fights I've seen, he doesn't really work inside. He'll throw a shot or two, but he's the type of big guy, like a lot of these big guys, they just use their size in a way that they just hold you and wait for the ref to break it. You know, so they use their size in that way instead of using their size to rough you up on the inside, a la Riddick Bowe. So I'm not saying it's a bad strategy to have. Vladimir Klitschko has, you know, was able to get away with it for 9 years. You know, if you can do it, do it. But I just think Ortiz will outfight him on the inside if he did choose to fight inside. I think Ortiz will fight him and make him fight inside. I see him outboxing him. I just think he's going to beat Dimitrenko all the way around the board. Dimitrenko is not going into this fight to lay down. This is not your basic journeyman type of fighter, and no disrespect to these guys, but this is not a Jason Gavin or a Brian Minto or a Paul Butlin or a Ivica Perkovic. This is not that type of fighter. This is a guy who is levels, about 2 levels above those type of guys. But I just think he gives a guy in the top 10 good work. You know what I mean? Like, punchers, you know, he has a puncher's chance. He's a big guy. You know, he is the bigger guy in this fight, but I just think he'll give him some good work. And the question is, you know, will Luis Ortiz be able to outdo what KUBRAT PULEV was able to do, and that was to stop both of these guys. As far as stopping Dimitrenko, and PULEV was able to stop Ustinov. And with Dimitrenko, he got stopped in the 11th round with a jab. You know, and it wasn't so much that PULEV landed a hard jab. I mean, the jab was hard. It wasn't so much that it hurt him and he was out for the count. It's just that he got the fight beat out of him. You know, from getting jabs landing on him and combinations and him getting walked down. And him getting walked down, he just got the fight beat out of him. And he just didn't want no more. You know, so I can see Ortiz systematically breaking him down, taking his time, out jabbing him, landing combinations, pushing him back. When he does come forward, counterpunching him, counterpunching, and just controlling the ring. You know, but Dimitrenko does have the size. You know, he already fought this year. He fought a few weeks ago, fought a few times last year. You know, so I watched 5 or 6 of his fights, man, and he's a guy that's had a long career. He's been around since 2001, so he's not like some young upstart. You know, we can question Ortiz's age. I know a lot of Tony Thompson was in an interview saying that he believes that Luis Ortiz is a lot older than 36. Dimitrenko's 33. He's been pro since 2001, so he's been around for a while himself. I used to hear people some years ago used to say Samuel Peter, the Nigerian fighter, used to say that he was 2 or 3 years older than what he actually had on his birth certificate. But even if Ortiz is older than 36, say that is true. I mean, last month I looked on BoxRec, and from the top 20, 12 of the guys in the top 20 on BoxRec were 34 years or older. So 36, 37, 38 really doesn't matter. I mean, look at Amir Mansour. He's still around. Tony Thompson himself is what, 43 or something like that. And you know, anything can happen in the heavyweight division, especially with one punch. But as far as this fight, man, I'm just, you know, I think this is a good tune-up fight going into the Ustinov fight, and a lot of fans think Ustinov is a tune-up fight too. You know, it's funny how fans are, man, because I remember when Tyson Fury pulled out of the Ustinov fight, people were saying that, you know, Fury was scared of Ustinov. That's why he pulled out, you know. He didn't want to go into a short notice fight with Ustinov. And then now Ustinov is to some fans, he's a tune-up fight for Luis Ortiz. But I'm starting to call Luis Ortiz Victor Ortiz, so I'm going to end this video. YTBC. I'm out.